Hello, everybody. Welcome to this fireside chat. Title this fireside chat Women in Tech in honor and celebration of the International Women's Day. Yeah, so here with me today, I have Ezinne Elijah, a business analyst consultant. I have Onyinyechi Eze. Onyinyechi Eze is a strategic management partnership manager at Google. And we have Adedolapo Oguntayo, who is a product manager at Shortpoint. Yes, they'll be sharing with us, their experiences and advices as regarding women in tech and how to, push forward into this tech industry. As we all know, women are underrepresented, and as a company, Frontdreams, we are one company that is also, advocating for inclusion and diversity, especially for women in tech. So I would like to invite Onyinyechi Eze to join me. Your camera is turned off. Yes. And Dolapo will be joining us shortly. Thank you so much for being here. So before we proceed into the main areas, we'd like to hear from you. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you're doing. So,
Thank you so much,
Onyinyechi, go
Ibrahim.
ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and happy Women's Day to International Women's Day to all the women around the world. My name is Onyinyechi Eze. I'm the strategic partner manager Sub-Saharan Africa at Google, and lovely to be here. Basically, I've been in tech for over 16, 17 years now, and I pride myself as trying to support businesses, most especially women or women-led businesses. So my career has been obviously with men and women, but then I see so much potentials in women building the forefront for so many things happening around the world.
Hi everyone, my name is Ezinne. An IT business analyst consultant, and I actually just switched into tech not quite long. So in which I don't have a lot of experience like you, but it's been a great opportunity, to be in tech, and it's very diverse as well. Thank you.
Um, all right. Thanks for sharing about your work. I would like to just ask you a few questions. First, you've told us about your work. Yes. Uh, we want to know what do you see, like what do you see happening in tech these days, especially when it comes to women in tech? We all know that women have been underrepresented, but how far have you seen women come? Let's say in the past 1 years, 2 years, what's the progression like, and uh, what do you see happening actually in tech right now? I want to hear from you.
Okay, lovely question. I see, a lot and a lot of women going into tech now. There's a lot of advocacy going on. There's a lot of organizations adopting the inclusion and equitability of women in the organization. So we're seeing now CEOs, we're seeing country managers, we're seeing women in boardrooms. And what it does for other women that want to switch into tech or that are still upcoming is it gives them the moral, it gives them the confidence for them to create things. So I see women now leading the forefront, women-led organizations. I see innovators coming out. I see us being celebrated for more things. It's still a long shot. I know we still have a long way to go, but the pace at which we're going with active and proactive measures, I see women, taking some sort of equity into the world and how we see it. Obviously, we need women to balance it out. So I see us really trying to advocate for more women to be in tech.
Oh, wow. Nice. Estin, the same question to you.
Well, I'll say the same thing she just said. So, it's good we're advocating for more women to be in tech because, you know, I always thought tech was, very technical. You have to know all the maths in the world. You have to, very, you know, structured. But basically, with courses like business analysis, project management, data analysis, it has created a pathway for people who, want to change from maybe their old career path, maybe from a bank manager to, a product manager or something like that. So I would say it's a good pathway, I think, for women to start if they want to start their career in tech. I hope I answered the question correctly.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, you're
yeah.
good.
Awesome.
Thank you. Welcome, Adolapo. Thank you for joining us. We were just asking about, you know, what what's going on in tech these days, especially when it comes to women in tech. Where they've been, what do you see happening? Can you just share with us, and you can introduce yourself before you tell us that?
All right, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Adedolapo Oguntayo Williams. I'm a product manager at a software design company called Shortpoint. All right, to answer your question, I think a lot of women are becoming very interested in tech because of the fact that tech is one industry that allows them to work that allows them to work remotely, and there's this flexibility with when you're working with tech that some other industry might not allow. So I've seen that a lot of women are interested in tech. And in terms of what's really happening that in the tech space, I think things like AI, machine learning, cybersecurity are like coming into the spotlight as to what is attracting people, especially women in tech. I hope that answers the question.
Wow, that's great. So, tech is actually favoring women these days because of flexibility.
Right.
That's great. That's great. So I would like to hear about your challenges. What are the challenges that you have faced as a woman?
Okay, so for me, I've been in tech for I'd say almost since 2016, and I think you're even aware Days of Learn Arc. I started in tech 2016, and when I started in tech, I think there were not so much representation, for women in tech as at that time. And of course, when you don't have representation, things like imposter syndrome comes in when you are in a male-dominated industry. So those were the challenges I faced. Like when I'm doing something that I see that not a lot
Before
of
we go,
women are doing this, things like imposter syndrome. And I also faced a lot of biases, and I wouldn't even lie, because I remember there was a time, I was bidding for, I started like a company, I co-founded a company, and EdTech as at that time, and Ibrahim is actually aware of it. And we had, this other male counterpart that also did something pretty similar. But I guess maybe because they were male then. I don't know. This is just my assumption. And especially that's what I experienced. I guess they got, the contract, they got everything that, we were. And I felt like maybe because I was a female, they felt I wasn't capable, and I was much younger as well. So maybe that's also one of the biases that, I faced then. But now there's a lot of representation, a lot of people interested, in tech. And I've seen that, government organization, even non-government organizations, are creating like what's it called? They are creating opportunities for young women in tech, to get into the industry easily by providing like free courses, mentorship, sponsorship programs, scholarship. You can see that flying everywhere. So I think if I'd had those opportunities back, 2016, 2017, maybe I would be a much more confident, tech woman in tech as at then. But thankfully, I guess they say that you need to go through certain things so that you can help other young ones. Since now that I do mentor even young women that wants to either transition in tech or they're currently in tech and perhaps facing challenges. So, yeah, that's it.
all right.
Ibrahim, are you back?
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Let me take over from here. Let me share my challenges. But the Lakba was really nice to hear, because I think women around the world, we face similar struggles. Imposter
Mhm.
syndrome is one of the things that I think we suffer a lot. My experience spans all the way down to college. I think we were at a very low ratio compared to the men in college, and then coming out of an engineering background, you'd imagine that the kind of roles you'll be given will be when you're doing the interviews. You'd likely see them wanting to tend towards men than women because the roles are usually rigorous. I studied computer engineering, so at that time software wasn't so big as it is now, so it was more of hardware. So you imagine that they would want men to crimp cables, go under tables, go on top of the roofs, do cabling and stuff. So the
Mm-hmm.
opportunities were quite limited for us at that time. But I was lucky and blessed to have supportive employers that would take me on, and then they would see what stuff I was made of. And then throughout the course, I've experienced these challenges in different organizations. So I've worked in different sectors. I've worked in banking, I've worked in aviation, in tech, and all some others. And while I was in there, it was different challenges I'd face. And it was interesting because some of it was just because tech can really work in any industry.
Right.
Um, if you really look at how it's structured, hardware and software is really the backbone of any industrial or industrialization. So I could fit into anywhere, but then when you're in that role, they see you as just the backbone, someone at the backside, and then they start to worry about marriage, maternity leave. They start to worry about, can she stay late nights? Can she do the work? There wasn't so much remote working, so flexibility was an issue, and that was a determinant whether you got the role or not. So I faced so many of those challenges, but I think one of the ones that I think I was able to resonate with mostly with what you also mentioned was when you're at that role and you're experiencing that gender bias, there's this imposter syndrome that comes over you, and you say, I think I should just quit. Like, I shouldn't be
Right.
here. And the more I just take it one day at a time. So the next day I'm like, no, I should be here. Like the next day I should be here. And then I think we're able to break those barriers and be where we are today.
Right. And I think I just also wanted to add to what you said. It's I actually wanted to point that out too, was availability. So I remember that there was a company that was concerned about, how available I would be. I'd mentioned that I was young. So, with this thing in Africa where you have curfew at a particular time at work. So I really resonate with you saying, marriage, maternity leave, and of course, for the younger ones that are not even ready to get married, sometimes they just feel like you, as a woman or as a lady, you might not be readily available for certain tasks or rigor. And especially if you're in the tech space, there are times that you have to work late hours for sure. Even if you're working remotely, sometimes I still experience times that I work into the night. So yeah, I think that's a good mention. That's a good mention. Thank you. I just needed to highlight that. Yes.
Yeah, I also feel like women still face some kind of bias in the tech industry, like pay bias, obviously, stereotype bias, and promotion bias, we can say, or even isolation bias, where you be the only woman working on a particular project, and you just feel alone, and then the imposter syndrome kicks in. So I feel like we even some women shy away from grooming or teaching or mentoring other young ladies who are actually trying to get into tech. So we can do better, and put in more effort and groom more ladies to get into tech. I think that's how I actually got the interest of getting into tech, if I would say so myself. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Uh, this question goes to Onyechi. You are also a mother, and for mothers who want to get into tech, or rather, can you share with us some of the challenges that you experience as a mother getting into tech? We speak to some of our parents, some women who are mothers to get into tech, and they're like, this is not for them. What can you say regarding this?
Very, very interesting question. It is a challenge, but I think flexibility, support, allyship can really support more women coming to tech. I have a personal experience. So when I had um, my third child, I was in the hospital and I had a proposal that I needed to sign off. Then I was into consultancy and I was trying to bring up a financial institution into having some softwares done. I literally just had my baby and I needed to sign a document, and they were so worried like this project wouldn't take place. But because I had that flexibility of being able to work at my own time, I signed the contract and I, commissioned it and we're able to start. Now, it doesn't take the fact that you need time for family, but then that ability for you to be able to do it really relies on the support and the flexibility that the organization is going to give to you. So I do share in the sentiments that it's not easy as a woman to come into tech because you have to balance it out between work and life balance. Now I see more men trying to balance it out, but then I think the struggle is, being maternal and nurturing in nature. We want to be able to balance it out more. We have that thing in us, but then it doesn't take away our ability, it doesn't take away our skill. So I think that the challenges that I've faced personally, being a mother, doesn't take away my skill, but what it has done is it makes me feel like I should try harder. I should do the research. As a woman, you don't want to come to the table maybe because you've had a rough day at home or you're trying to cook lunch or do something. It doesn't give you the right to come to the table without your skill, your notes. You need to come prepared. So I think women these days, especially women that have families to take care of, doesn't separate the single women, but it just puts an extra layer of anxiousness and support. Now we need to be extra prepared. So when I come to the table, I've done my research for 1 hour, 2 hours, that I'm able to break away, and then I come to the table prepared. I come to the table with information and I come to the table with skill.
Great. Amazing. That brings me to my next question. What can organizations do to create a more inclusive workspace for women in tech? I mean, you started mentioning something in that sense.
Yes, I believe that organization play a huge role. So if you look at it, there's the organization, there's the community, and then there's the other gender, which is male. I'm not discounting that there are other genders, but I'm saying that male do have a role, in this. So there's something we call diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? Um,
Yeah.
if we start to adopt this at a grassroots level in the communities, if you start to adopt this in the organization, I think we'll go far. So we're adopting it in HR, in people, in people management. We're adopting it in even in the meetings. Look at it as when we're having a meeting, are there women in the table? Are there women joining? Are they contributing, not just sitting down there and looking pretty? Do they have things to say? When you're hiring, you have a role. Are you ensuring that the ratio of men and women that you're interviewing are equal? When you're looking at the pay grade, are you looking and ensuring that there's no bias when you're looking at the two? So I think organization play a huge part when they can adopt this, even in the board. When you're having a board room and then you're saying that you want just men, why don't you create a ratio where it's equitable so that we can have both women and men that can contribute actively to the organization?
I see. Amazing. Thank you. Dolapo, you want to tell us more?
I think Onyinyechi hit the nail on the really. She
Yeah.
actually spoke about everything that I would really want to say, but I think I will just highlight. I mean, since she already mentioned
Yeah.
everything, she hit the nail on the head. That's what I was going to say. It's about creating family-friendly policies. She was mentioning that she just had a baby, and because of the opportunity the our organization had given her, then it helped make it easy for her to sign off, commission the project she had. So a lot of companies, I think, are still very rigid with their policies, especially as it relates to women. It's not everything is not only about maternity leave. The Some countries will give 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. How about those policies that relate to, okay, You know that if you are a nursing mother, for instance, we have a policy in place for you so that you can actually, nurture your child at that age and still perform optimally at your job. So those very maybe not so aggressive policy, but very little policies that you can just inculcate into the the normal working lifestyles of women that can also help support them function well. And I like, Onyinyechi mentioned something that yes, as much as you're a mother, as much as you're a woman, that doesn't leave the fact that you have to drop your skills. You need to actually prove yourself. But sometimes you want to prove yourself, but there's so much that you can do, really. You are prepared, you have the skills, you have the knowledge. But imagine, I mean, let me just paint a scenario so that it's clearer. For instance, I think I'll just motherhood. I'm not yet a mother, but I can very soon, I will be. But so I can sort of like relate, especially in the stage of pregnancy, I'd say. So sometimes your first trimester is like the most, I mean, from experience, is the most like horrible, very horrible. And of course, there are not policies to say that if you're in your first trimester, you shouldn't work, you shouldn't. But at that point, there's nothing you can do. You want to work, you want to do everything. But if there are policies that, okay, you can tell HR that, okay, I'm pregnant. This is the evidence that I'm pregnant. Can there are policies to support you during that stage of your life, right? It just helps you. It just gives you like this. I don't want to call it assurance. It just helps. It just eases things. Yes, it makes it easier for you to function, and it just helps. It just encourages you. So I just feel like companies as well should create family friendly policies or women friendly policies. And I like what Spain is doing, that they are giving period off. I mean, that's just really amazing. Some people have their periods and it's really terrible. Maybe it's not every woman's experiences, but so I think that is another thing that would help, you know,
Amazing.
women in tech.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Thank you. I do have an experience. Last year, I always have like trainings for students every summer. So during the summer last year, we had about 35 to 36 students who I took in for the training, and there were several ladies. I believe there were like 7 ladies, and the rest were guys. Out of those 7, 5 ladies dropped. Just one guy dropped, and he was at a different time zone. That's the challenge. And I knew I went, I went the extra mile to follow up on the ladies, to check up on the ladies, to still tell them, halfway, I say, you can still be a part of this, come and join, and all that. So I was trying to wrap my head around what the challenge was, because I knew I went, the extra mile to bring them in. And even at first the registration, it was, you can see the numbers were different. I mean, there were more guys than the ladies, and then the ladies now had to drop. So that was not a challenge of equity, because they both had the same opportunities. So what do you think can be done in?
Okay, I think what can be done in such scenarios is really what we're doing right now. So, Frontdreams is creating advocacy. They're celebrating women. We're talking about how organizations can support more inclusion in the workplace. I think what they all do is like a domino effect. They create confidence amongst women that they should also be at the table. They can be at the boardroom. They can take skills. They can take the training. They shouldn't be afraid of being able to start, to change course, or to continue. Like Ezinne was saying that she just joined tech recently, and I'm sure you're doing quite well. You're loving it. I love tech. I love the fact that there hurdles, and you have to resolve it and scale through, and it doesn't have to be only coding. There's coding involved, there's analysis, there's business analysis, the data analysis, there's AI, machine learning, there's so much, the security. I had an experience. I do speak with young girls, and I encourage them to call me, and then I advise the best way I can. So she studied, I think, microbiology, and she said she wanted to switch to tech, and she was asking me, what should I do? And I said to her that my role isn't to tell you what to do, but it's to encourage you to take up something in tech. It doesn't mean that you drop your passion or your core major in school, but it's to adopt tech into what you're doing. And she said that's interesting. I would say that because she naturally didn't think that as a microbiologist you can go into tech. But I told her there's biotech, that things that you can do with technology to improve what you're doing, and from there you can become the next woman frontier in your scope or in your school and in what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me ask you this particular question. It's just like what you've said. Dolapo, you can just continue from where she left off because she already entered these questions. How can you encourage young girls to pursue a career in STEM?
I think for me is representation. Like representation really matters a lot. When you see people that are of your own gender, sometimes it might not even. It happens even when you see people from your community doing certain things. You just believe that if this person can do it, you can do it. So you now see someone from that has the same gender as yours doing it. So I think in the you painted a scenario or it really happened whereby some ladies were dropping. At that point, it would have been better to see if that introduce those ladies to a woman mentor who's already doing what you know they intend to do. And I think that will encourage them to push forward. Because for me, mentorship is not only by advising. Sometimes you just want to see that this person has actually done it. So I'll just summarize it to 2 points: representation and mentorship. So if we have a lot of women mentors that are willing to, mentor younger ones, I know that we have a lot of women in tech that are doing great things, but are they ready to mentor other ones that, might need that mentorship? So I think it's the point whereby I like what Onyinyechi is doing. She's allowing for young women to reach out to her, and I'm sure that she has of course influenced a lot of women in tech currently as well. So I
Yeah.
think that will be it: mentorship and representation. Yeah.
Thank you. Ezinne, can you share with us briefly? I mean, I
Yeah.
know you're in tech and you're always, you're passionate about tech, about, okay, any new trend, anything coming up, Ezinne gets a hand of it and she always sends me, look at this, look at that. So, how can you encourage young girls to pursue a career in tech?
Well, at the she said, sorry,
Okay.
mentorship is actually very key. And like she said, it's not about just advice. Oh, you need to do this, you need to do this. Some people still need you to show them, oh, step by step, what did you do? What did you put in place to achieve, well, wherever you are now at this point? So mentorship, maybe at the early stage, maybe in schools, the grassroots, either STEM toys, STEM games, things that encourages young girls to want to grow the passion to get into tech. Also, highlights, I'll say, female tech roles for young girls to feel enthusiastic, feel happy. Oh, I can see that Mrs. Eze is there, and she's doing great. She's I want to be like her when I grow up. That's something like that, creating environment, either even in churches, even in schools, encourage young ladies, oh, you can actually be the next big woman in tech or something like that. So I would rest my case there.
All
Can
right,
I?
that's good. So, yes, please.
Yeah, and I really loved what everybody has said. I look at it in well, I mean, the same way, but then I look at it in different buckets. I see we need to be advocates for women. So I feel that everybody that is doing tech, every woman doing tech, no matter how young, how old, how much of experience you have, as long as you see someone coming in and they're not getting that fair treatment, I think you should just automatically just take up that advocacy to allow them be included. I see also, like, I agree with you, Ezine, at the community level, we should encourage it in schools, in churches, and it starts really by demystifying tech. They make tech look like it's such a huge um, course or a thing that they need to do. But then, really, what is STEM? it's really just about science and technology and engineering and maths, which can be taught even at the youngest age, really. So Lego, Rubicons, they are really the beginning and the start of STEM. So having them start off, and then I think also support. So if you can help out, allow them to learn coding, allow them to learn data analysis. Excel is data analysis, so that support is also needed. Some funding would really help, because if the local community start to understand that STEM can improve their way of livelihood, I think it will continue to resonate and keep building upwards. And I think finally, education, like what Front Dreams is doing, the more trainings we get, the more it will keep moving as a domino effect, and they would inherently train others, either consciously or unconsciously. I don't know how to do this. You're taught somebody, and that raises that curiosity in that next woman to continue in tech.
Thank you. Thank you. So, did you have a mentor growing up, a female mentor? I mean, the gender gap alone is enough motivation because you want to make a difference. But like, do you have a figure that you looked up to growing up that pushed you into tech?
My mentor was my dad. I would honestly give it to them. My parents were awesome. My mom was a teacher, but my mom is a teacher, and followed into the education line. Um, and my dad was the engineer in the house, and what he- how he really mentored us really was in such a way that I have siblings and they're all engineers, and that isn't to say that everybody should be an engineer, but he kind of groomed us in such a way that you couldn't tell who was a boy and who's a girl. You just have to do the work. So I'm going to give you the flexibility to read, go to school, get the same advantage as others. And that really propelled me. He'll bring us to the table, and all of us, both male and female, will talk about TD, we'll talk about the technical drawing, we'll talk about telecommunication, we'll talk about everything. So it wasn't like you go to the kitchen and then you'd hear, or the male would hear this. Everybody had equal opportunity to hear and be mentored by him.
Exactly. Really like that. Yeah, Ezinne, you want to tell us something about that? Who
No,
did you look
I
up to?
actually don't have any mentors. I would say growing up, I never did. So maybe now I'm growing, more curiosity. I'm following some, tech people in the industry like you, Ibrahim. I would say you're a mentor, and I could say Mrs. Eze is now one of my mentors because she has over 16 years of experience, and it's not very easy because like we say, mentorship is not only about advice. Some people just want to, now everybody sell their courses. You want to be a mentor, they want to put the price on it, and it's what if I don't want to pay? What if I just need you to just show me, okay, how do I need to get into tech? So it's very important we um start having mentorship and mentorship programs like from the church, I would say, because yeah, it's the easiest place, it's the easiest gathering everybody comes to, and it's very easy for you to just start grooming people. Like me, if I'm in a position where you know I love to do research, I love to learn new things, I'm very curious. So if I get new information, like Ibrahim said, I'm always sharing to everybody that has an ear that wants to listen, and yeah, that's what I'll say for
That's
now.
good. Thank you. Good to hear that. Thank you very much. So, how about this? What can men do to be better allies and supporters of women in tech? I mean, we spoke about the organizations, mentorship, but your fellow men around you, what can we do to be supporters of women in tech?
Okay. So maybe I'll just go first here, right? So I think
Yeah,
for men to be better allies, they need to be actively listening to women experiences and also supporting gender diversity initiatives. Not because HR says, for instance, we're doing this for women. Some people say, how many Mother's Day do we have in a year? I hear that a lot, and I'm like, okay, I mean, that's really not the point. But what I'm just trying to emphasize on is that men should, at least support gender diversity initiative, and they should include, isn't it? Onyinyechi spoke about advocacy as well. I think advocacy shouldn't be left for, the women alone. Also, the men should be advocating for women as well, promoting women's voices and perspectives in meetings. You see that we have just one lady in the meeting. I mean, I think it's just the right thing to do. If you see that maybe she's not bold enough to speak out, and you guys will encourage her and say, Madam, do you have anything to say? We would really like to, get your input. I think that's another way for you guys to be supportive of, our presence and our existence in whatever industry that we are in. And like I said, advocating for also equal pay and opportunity. Like you see the fact that your female counterpart is earning lesser than you. You don't need to feel egoistic about it or proud about it. I mean, advocate and say why we're doing the same job. I believe she should also be earning as much as I am. So in summary, I'd say advocacy, be advocacy as well, like advocacy, be ready to supporting gender diversity initiatives, and be active listeners as well. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be very sure to do those.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You want to say something?
I think she said it all. Allyship is really key, and key. Active listening, and then advocacy. I think that's she really summed it up. If they can do that, and then also be supportive at the events, like you're organizing this, you're the only male, but then we feel comfortable, and we
Mhm.
can speak our truth. So I think this is really what it's all about.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. So there's something also I got to understand. In the UK, they're giving paternal leave. I think so, like for, yeah, I think that's really good. So fathers who have their kids, I mean, can now go on breaks together with the mothers. So it's really, I think that is very good, but that's on the organization side. And I think men will advocate. If men advocate for it, it's gonna be more. So good on the UK's part. All right, so we're wrapping up now, and I want to ask you about the trends and opportunities you see for women in tech. I mean, coming up in few years' time, 1, 2, 5, 10 years. What do you see for women? Are there any special
Okay. Yeah.
opportunities? I mean, I know that a lot of times we talk about, going into tech without learning coding, for women, and there's that part, and which enables a lot of ladies to just work from their home. What do you have to say?
So, for me, the emerging fields in tech that I believe, I mean, anyone that is interested in going into tech, well, I am not, I don't code. Actually, I'm a product manager and I do business analysis as well. But if you have the mental prowess, because at the end of the day, you need to identify your skill set, you need to identify your personality for you to thrive in whatever sector of tech you want to go into. I like to talk. I believe that I'm a people person, so I think that product management will do well for me. Doesn't mean that I don't like math. I really like math, but I just assessed myself and I saw that this is where I would function well. But I'm talking about people that would, I mean, would like to. Maybe you have the mental prowess for coding, for instance. I'd say instead of software engineering, front end development, back end development, the emerging field will be data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. But if you are not going to go through that path and you want to go through the non-code route, I know you had mentioned that not only non-code route, I'd say go for cybersecurity. So every company now, I don't think every company that are they're called tech company. Even if you're not even a tech company, you have a tech component of your company, right? Everyone needs a cybersecurity expert to help them to safeguard them from, attacks from, the internet or whatever. And for AI, I think AI is like they used to say, data is the new oil, machine learning is the new oil. Oil in the sense that if you're
Yeah.
Nigerian, oil is our major, where we get money from basically. So I'm just using that as, figuratively. So I'd say machine learning, AI, data science is the new oil for tech. And in the sense, in the case where you don't want to go into anything too technical, I think you should focus on, or you should look at cybersecurity. Yeah.
Okay, great. Uh, Onyinyechi, you want to say something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the truth is that technology is so vast and so broad. I see women really going far and beyond. I see them really going into tech for health. Um, I see them going to tech for environment, climate change. I see a lot of automations coming up. Before now, you'd hire an SEO specialist, or you'd hire somebody to create your website. Now there's a lot of automation coming up. So I see tech really, really broadening more than what we are currently seeing it as. So I think I see women first getting into tech and seeing where the gaps are, because community tech is not just for the name. It's really about making a change. You can be making a change at the lower level or grassroots level. You can make it at the broader level. But I see more women coming into this space and helping the environment, helping our communities, and automating things to make things easier for us.
Okay, great. Ezinne, over to you.
Uh, well, I agree with everything they said. Let me give an example. Okay, there was a woman who started up her startup company where she had to create a new headgear for her son, who I think he had some issues with his head or something, and there was not enough opportunity for her to create it or get that headgear made in the industry. Obviously, it's male dominated industry, so she had to create, her own company that was targeted to this specific kind of, children and different kind of headgear. So I would say, more encourage more entrepreneurship, startups for women, women owned businesses and all, and also encourage more, like here in Canada we encourage more remote roles. Like if you're a BA product owner, as long as you're in tech, you're not maybe tying scrolling tools or trying to work under the car or something, you can work from home. Because of the COVID, it's now more prominent. People don't want to go in the office as mothers, as single ladies, or you have other things to do, or you have a business on the side, you can, work from home. So I'll say it's a good opportunity for us now as women. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, to round up, I would like to ask you, I think any one of you who has a project or initiative working on that is aimed at advancing women in tech. Dolapo, you want to share with us?
Okay, yeah, so at the beginning of this year, one of the things that I wanted to do was, give back, because I'd say I'm a product of giving as well. The opportunity that I've been given is what has made me, or that's what made me who I am today. So I said to myself that I was going to, every quarter I'd mentor one person, a lady, a female, and I think I'd mentioned that to you personally, Ibrahim, that I'll need,
Yep.
to mentor one lady every quarter. So, and the goal really is that, this person should be practically clueless. They don't have any experience at all, but they do genuinely want to transition into tech. So what I'll do is to help them understand, assess their skill set, for instance, like I said, to see where they would function optimally, or either product management, front end engineering, whatever, you know, and see that they get the trainings that they need, even if it has to be me supporting them financially, and also helping them create their CV, and ultimately helping them, landing their first, tech role. So if there is any lady on the platform, I do have a website. You can just, and I've put it up there. So I'm just taking one lady for each quarter. That means four ladies, in a year. So as of now, that's the initiative I'm working on to, support women. Maybe not in
Great.
tech, but willing to transition into tech. Yeah.
Yeah, you can share the website and I'm going to
Yes,
display it
I
here.
will. All
Thank
right,
you.
let me.
Onyinyechi, you also did mention about being available for mentorship.
Yes, I am available for mentorship. I'm not doing per quarter, but I really applaud you, Dolapo. I'm building a platform where, and let me give you a background. I'm also a product of support funding. I'm one of the recipients of INMA Elevate, and I'm also a recipient for Pointer Women Academy. And I really think that it's funding and support can really take women far. So I'm trying to build a platform where we have access to all these opportunities, because sometimes I hear women say, where is that course, where's the free course, where's the subsidized course, where is that funding, or where is that place I can learn or get some mentorship. So I have a platform that is still in progress, but then once it's done, I'll obviously reach out and then try and share it to as much people as possible. But in the meantime, I am open for me to mentor younger women and older as well, so that they can transition into tech. And like I said, it's not really just about transitioning; it's about people that stopped and want to continue, the people that want to start, people that just want to really showcase what they have. I'm really open to really coaching and supporting women, both at scale and one to one. Ezine, maybe you can take it.
I'll do my best to, share all this information to people from my Instagram, because I love to share information. For now, I am not mentoring anybody because I'm still learning, and I love to share more information. Like, now I know, once your platform is fully ready, please share it with me. I'll share it on either my YouTube or on Instagram. And Dolapo, I'll also share yours on my Instagram. And if you can, maybe, do you have like an Instagram page where I can tag you and all that?
Mhm. Yeah, sure, I do. I do have
Okay,
Instagram.
so if you do, you could maybe share it with Ibrahim, and I would also post it. And yeah. But
Sure.
though I'm actually going to be working on something with Ibrahim soon, which is coming up, like a course or something. So yeah, until that is ready, then we'll share more. Thank you.
Well, I would like to thank everyone for being here. Thank you so much. I feel honored to have you all join me today on Women's Day. So happy Women's Day to all the women out there and to you here especially. So Frontdreams is a company that is also open to women. We employ ladies, we work with ladies, we train ladies, and I'm proud to train ladies as well. So this summer we're going to be having lots of ladies. So I'm making the announcement out there that ladies should come this summer, and we intend to have more ladies than guys this time. We want to break the bias. So, yes, thank you so much for listening, everybody. And we hope that you had an enjoyable session and a happy Women's Day. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Dolapo. Thank you, Miss Onyinyechi. Thank you, Ezinne. It's a pleasure to have you here again. So, looking forward to our next session again. Until then,
Thank
bye
you.
bye.
Thank
Bye.
Bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.